Well, let's talk about who's available at this point from the veterans' perspective. Derek Carr was released by the Raiders. I can't believe the Raiders mishandled this the way they did. They get no compensation. If they had allowed him to go talk to teams, they could have worked out a conditional trade and gotten draft pick payback for 9 years of service. Instead, they get cap space, 29 million cap space, but Derek Carr walks out the door, gets to handpick where he wants to go. He's been to New Orleans. I think there's a visit to Carolina to meet with Frank Reich. Could be a visit to the New York Jets. Remains to be seen if Washington is going to commit to their young quarterback that finished up last season, or whether or not they'd jump back in and go get a market. But he's going to get signed pretty quickly, and I think he'll be the first quarterback that's going to be off the board. Aaron Rodgers is in the middle of his darkness. Aaron Rodgers is trying to decide who loves me, who doesn't love me, where should I play, do I care, etc. But he's got all this money tied up in his contract. I just find it hard to believe that he would leave Green Bay. He is Green Bay. He's part of his history of Green Bay's great quarterbacks, which stretch from Brett Favre back to Bart Starr to Aaron Rodgers. I know the Jets are out there. The Jets supposedly preparing an offer for Aaron Rodgers. I just have a hard time believing that the Jets would do this, that they would give up a 1 and a 3, because that's the rumor for a 38-year-old quarterback. And I have a hard time believing Aaron Rodgers would leave the 404 area code. That doesn't make any sense to me. And the great mystery is Jimmy G. What does Garoppolo do coming out of San Francisco? It is interesting this week. Joe Montana popped off. He thinks the 49ers ought to keep Garoppolo. You got Brock Purdy, you got Trey Lance, both of them coming off surgeries. Garoppolo is off his surgery and is completely healthy. It'll be interesting to see who makes a run at Jimmy G. Don't rule out the Raiders on this one. Mm-hmm. And the reason, connect the dots, there's my pen. Head coach, Josh McDaniels. Mm-hmm. Where did Jimmy G come from before San Francisco?
New England.
Who was his coordinator? Josh McDaniels. Mm-hmm. Maybe we connect the dots on that one. So, all right, give me your spin. Where do you think Carr winds up? What does Aaron Rodgers decide? And then your thoughts on Jimmy G.
Yeah, so I mean, I saw those rumors as well about Jimmy G with the Raiders. I think that's a great spot for him because of the familiarity, and it's still kind of indirectly a connection to the Bay Area, so the locals will be happy for him. As far as Aaron Rodgers go, yeah, just go back to Green Bay and let's get on with it. And then as far as Derek Carr is going. Yeah, Carolina makes sense, but I don't know. I'd like to see him go to Washington. Because after everything the former Redskins, now Commanders, have been through, it'd be nice for them to have a solid quarterback and to kind of rebuild that franchise.
They've got some good young guys on that roster. They've not had any good quarterbacking of late. But, they're 2 deep at running back. They're probably 3 deep at wide receiver, led by Terry McLaurin. You got Rivera. But they did draft Sam Howell, and that kid played pretty well right at the tail end of the season. And they kind of announced that Howell might be the quarterback when the OTAs open up for Washington. So why would Derek Carr want to go there unless there's a guarantee that I'm going to be the guy and they got to pay me a lot of money to go? I'd like to think New Orleans, but New Orleans has got such monstrous salary cap problems. I don't see how in the world New Orleans could creatively come up with some type of contract. So that bears watching. I do think Derek Carr is going to be the first domino that's going to go off the board. Okay,